What is up, YouTube? My Cowboys family here, bringing you guys the latest update, of course, on our very own Dallas Cowboys. And today's update, you guys already know, it was the first night of the 2023 NFL Draft, first round picks, and the Dallas Cowboys had quite the options presented to them and ultimately chose Mazi Smith.
Mazi
so we're going to
Smith.
get into that, of course, touch on a handful of Cowboy adjacent things, right? But mainly Mazi.
Of course.
We want to hear your thoughts,
Yeah,
guys.
guys.
The poll is there in the chat.
Yes. And remember, guys, defensive tackle, interior run stopper, Mazi Smith from Michigan. Some people getting freaked out because of Taco. That's where he played. Who cares? Anyways, we'll get into this in detail. But yes, guys, our 2023 first round pick in this NFL draft for our Dallas Cowboys is defensive tackle, Mazi Smith. We're going to break down the good, bad, and ugly. Talk about it all here tonight and discuss it with you all here on a, it's going to be a little quicker stream. It's not a whole, 2-hour kind of break. This is just first round instant kind of discussion recap on our first round pick here, Mazi Smith.
Yes, and on your way in, make sure to take a second to hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow us anywhere and everywhere at MyCowboysFamily.
Yeah.
And of course, hop in the Discord, links for that's down in the description box.
Oh, yeah.
And there's some people we got to shout out as we get into this discussion tonight. Yes, the sponsor of the week.
Boom.
Mahalo to you, Mark Hovsepian.
Yes.
Appreciate you, of course.
Hawaii
not just
Mark
there,
in the
representing.
house.
He's got 74 points on that stream boss up above
That's
as well.
Famous Bob Lilly representation. Much love to Mark Hovsepian, the all-time sponsor of the week, Dominator. So appreciate him, and also appreciate the Cash App King right now, the guy rocking that spot this entire week, none other than Trent M. Representation of this star here, all around us, all the way in Australia. So Trent M., Australia, Dallas Cowboy representation there. But we also have leaders on this board for this week so far as we're going down the stretch here. Day 2 of the draft tomorrow, day 3 after that, and then the wrap up on Sunday. But right now, the leaders as we see it right now, pretty sure we have, the Q-Man was leading, but Jason Renfro is currently the leader in the Cash App. And he's also the overall leader. If you look right above his name, you see another name. It says Jason Renfro. He's in first place over Justin Quarles on the overall board. So much love to Jason Renfro on the lead, Mark Hovsepian on the other boards, and Trent M as well. Appreciate you guys. Can't do this without you guys' love and support. But maybe there's also another part of this thing, which is why we can't. We don't have the super chat yet, or the the memberships, which we hopefully get back. Hoping early May. So maybe a week or so.
Fingers crossed.
But until then, there's 4 ways, Dak Prescott in the sense here, 4 ways to help out the channel here at MCF My Cowboys Family. On the nightly, we try to do this. And baby, how are the 4 ways that they can drop some love?
Of course, the Cash App, money sign My Cowboys Family, Venmo at My-Cowboys-Family, the regular PayPal link, of course, and last but certainly not least, the Streamlabs link right there, guys. Your comment shows up right here on screen. Takes down Mark Hovsepian's stream boss as well.
Yeah, guys. And again, can't do this without you guys' love and support. I do have to shout out the man always staying skeptical. Skeptical fan. He dropped a $3.25 holler in that PayPal earlier today. Or actually it was last night.
Thank you, Skeptical. Much love with a classic Go Cowboys, I'm assuming there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. It was just the Go Cowboys. Appreciate it. Oh, yeah. You that little question mark. We also got the first drop of this live stream by the man, Mark Hovsepian.
Thank you, Mark.
Using that message on screen, Streamlabs link there. What did he have to say, baby, Mr. Mark Hovsepian, kicking it off?
He said, total reach. Porter was right there. This is Kavika Pittman all over again. Porter was there. I heard 2 teams were asking to move up. Typical clown show. Great offseason, but a crappy draft so far.
Again, I'm not going to comment on the overall draft because, well, we only have 1 pick out of 7. So, the real draft is made later on. So I disagree with Mark on that. Reach, definitely can't say it's not a reach to some extent. We're going to discuss the ins and outs of that tonight here on My Cowboys Family. So
yeah, and you can't deny that by the time that the Cowboys went to pick, there was a variety of names that could have been just fine at 26, right? I'm just saying, I can think of 5 names off the top of my head that we could have grabbed at 26 that most people would have been like, okay, yeah, I can see why the Cowboys grabbed him. But it feels like a lot of that same discussion, right? Oh, man, we got Joey Porter and so-and-so was still available.
Nolan Smith.
You could change the name out, and I feel like we still could have had that same discussion. But specifically, why did the Cowboys choose Mazi? And you are right. Before, a handful of picks before that, like 19 or 20, two teams called up the Cowboys and said, hey, how do you feel about trading? At the time, the Cowboys said no. Like, they didn't even bother. You know why? Kincaid was still available at the time, and that was the person the Cowboys were really targeting until Buffalo made the move they made to jump us to grab him.
Right. Jacksonville traded back with the Giants, so the Giants could get Deontay Banks. I think was it Deontay Banks from Maryland, and then Jacksonville, that pick in front of us, they traded back so that the Bills jumped us to get Dalton Kincaid. He would have been a Cowboy. Dalton Kincaid would have been a Cowboy if the Bills didn't jump us. Instead of getting Kincaid, we got the guy who the Cowboys ranked as the best defensive player on their board. On their board, not our board maybe, but on their board, better than Nolan Smith, better than Joey Porter. That's, you can say clown show, you can say is a combination of a need versus, best player available. And again, when you say need, you talk about run stopping ability kind of not being there. I mean, I still believe we should have traded back, but the fact that other teams like Kansas City and the Raiders, I don't know if they both, but
Kansas City for sure really
Kansas City wanted Mazi Smith. The Cowboys had him as their best defensive player. So if you look, you gotta trust in Will McClay, and I gotta trust in Dan Quinn. And in this situation here, I think there's a McClay-Quinn combo pick. We can't. I love the pick for the player, what he does at that position, which is something we bitched about, right? Mark has bitched about it. We've bitched about it, that we need interior help to stop the run. This is like the number one thing we needed. We got Hankins, and that's great, but he's not here for long. So we got him here another year. We're going to have a guy next to him who's going to push Osa Odigizua a little bit on pass rushing downs for now. We're going to have guys moving out the way like Neville Gallimore and Bohanna. Tickets up on him. He's out. In my opinion, he's done. So when you look at this, you can see it went with a lot of importance in running and stopping the run, helping every defensive player on that field with a guy like Mazi Smith. Now, you can have your issue with Mazi Smith because I like Keanu Benton. I would have maybe waited on him. It's like other guys that I like in there. Mazi Smith is I would say, a reach/safe pick, but it fills a need on defense that helps every single player on defense. Helps our corners, helps our safeties, helps our linebackers, helps our defense, our pass rush, and our run stop. So the Mazi Smith pick helps us all around. And that way, if you look at it that way, you can see it making some kind of sense. As you can see, I was hoping for offensive linemen. My guy was taken out early. A ninth pick or something like that.
And I do want the record to show that I was right all along about one thing.
You had the front office pen.
The Cowboys wanted a tight end. They were going to get a tight end. And man, if Kincaid had still been there, we'd be having a very different discussion right now.
Yeah.
So, but ultimately, the guy that the Cowboys really wanted that was still available was gone. And so now they had different discussions. Now, me personally, and if you guys haven't voted already, make sure to vote in the poll. I am a big fan of the Mazi pick. Again, it is a situation where it feels like we're ticking every box. It was a player that the Cowboys had very high up on their board, right? Their highest rated defensive player, according to Jane Slater and several others.
And the Cowboys front office themselves. I mean,
exactly. Outside of that, it was a high position of need. Like I said, one of the big reasons a lot of us, or even me, was talking tight end is because there is a big hole at tight end. We still have a hole at O-line. But you can't deny that the interior of our D-line still, could use a little beefing up, Actually, I'm going to rewind a little bit and remind everybody on a comment or two that Steven said earlier in the week on Monday when they talked about some of that. But I know we have a lot to touch on, so I'm going to hit up the chat a little bit, do some shout-outs, read a few comments.
Let's go.
Because some of the things that we have to discuss are going to answer some of the points or maybe you're for it, maybe you're against it. I don't know. Like I said, initially I was surprised by the pick, but I am a fan of the pick.
I gave the second. Why don't you go through the voting real quick before you go to the shout-outs? Because I do want to. I'll let you know what I chose here. I'm not necessarily loving it. I definitely don't hate it. So I'm right there in the middle. But am I in like that B area or am I in that C area? You know what I'm saying?
But what's the definition of insanity?
The same thing over and over again. This is a
change.
The
Cowboys have admitted that this is a big change from what they would have previously done.
And that's a philosophical change from the front office, at least with Dan Quinn on board, with again, maybe listening to more McClay, maybe doing things a little differently. Again, focusing on defensive tackle, nose tackle. When did we draft a nose tackle? Russell Maryland, Jimmy Johnson days.
Yeah, so real quick, we have 62 votes in.
Quick.
How do we feel about Mazi Smith?
Let's hear it.
56% of the chat loves it. Helps the defensive run stop. So
I agree with that. I agree with the second half of that.
Yeah.
Like it helps the entire defense and the run stop. Yeah.
So 30% are saying he's good, still a reach.
That's what I said. That's what he's good.
So I actually voted first. I said I'm in love with it. I think it's great. To me, it might be a reach, but I'm the first to admit I don't know enough football to know who exactly. I'm just saying, like, I know, but when you look at, I trust McClay, and I trust that if they're saying he was their highest rated like defensive player left there or whatever, it's not a reach.
Right, and again, it comes down to trusting Will McClay, and I do, and I'm not hating the pick, and I'm not saying it's the best thing ever, but I'm just saying I think he will help our defense in the ways I said it. It's not going to show in stats. It's going to show with a better defense. That's what I think is going to show.
Real quick, 2% of the people said, there's better players we can trade down.
And there might have been. We could have traded down, but if we had traded down, we would have lost Mazi Smith, which was the Cowboys' second guy behind Kincaid. If they expected the draft, it would have been Mazi Smith.
And 11% said hate it. Big mistake.
Okay, so about 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10 Cowboy family members here don't like this pick. I don't hate this pick.
So now let me go ahead.
Hit up the chat. Though. Surprisingly.
Real quick. Let me see. Giacomo Fisher, your vote doesn't count. You're an Eagle. You don't count. We don't want to hear it.
The Eagles had a good draft, and Micah definitely didn't like that Jalen Carter pick. I don't like it either. The Eagles definitely improved their defense. And they got the Nolan Smith that we left.
So Darren, CEO Davis, what's up, said people said Tyler Smith was a reach. Look how that turned out.
And that's my thing. And you got to remember, they had Tyler Smith as one of the highest offensive linemen on that board. Definitely one of the, I think, the best run blocker in the draft last year. But we were thinking tackle initially, and then they moved him to guard. Now he's back at tackle dominating. So exactly, that's you got to remember, you got to trust in Will McClay in this. You got to.
I know
it's not the Joneses doing the thing. It's Quinn and McClay. So I got to trust in that. Even though. Yeah, maybe we could have traded with somebody else, traded back a couple spots, got an extra pick, and still got Mazi.
So like I said, a variety of opinions here. Real quick, James Gary said Dallas will still beat Philly. Bruce got the toxic juice.
That's true.
What's up? Burn Bar said people are just mad because their big names are still on the board, and that's why I said I can understand that. But that's where I had to put aside maybe like my own personal bias, just because we've been hearing these names for weeks, or kind of wishing they'd be on the Cowboys for weeks now. But if Will McClay himself, the head honcho, said this guy's better,
I'm going to trust him.
I'm willing to trust him on that one.
But I will say also that, we talked about Mazi Smith at 26 way back in the beginning of this thing, and then some of the people were saying he's going to fall down to 58. When
obviously not the case.
Well, we know the Chiefs would have taken him at 31.
Yeah, Aztec Aguilar 4 said, remember when people hated Tyler Smith? Pepperidge Farm remembers.
There you go.
Beast Mode said, Joey Porter Jr. is going to his pop's team. Perfectly scripted. So other people are also throwing out their...
Where did he go? Where did Joey Porter go? He went to Steelers?
He went nowhere.
Oh, he didn't get... You sure he hasn't been drafted? I'm just making sure. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he wasn't drafted.
Okay. Well, okay.
Right?
I didn't get to check that. I thought let me double check that, but
I say go ahead and double check that, because we were obviously still, recording our Cowboy reaction there.
Let me see here.
Yeah, Pittsburgh drafts tomorrow. Yeah, he wasn't drafted. So basically, Pittsburgh starts off the draft those, and it's expected he ends up going to Pittsburgh. But the point is, he was not drafted today. So just throwing that out there.
Possible first round graded talent right there.
So yeah, they got Broderick Jones. So thank you, Mike Aldana. Drums and Cowboys said, we all agreed coming in we needed to address the defensive tackle and O-line. Now we're in love with names. We still have the second round. And
that's my point. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Mark is. I would love to hear from him on that. But I'm just saying, like, we got a guy who, even though you might think he's a reach, still provides a starting piece for the defense. It's going to start day one.
Said trenches are never sexy when they're picked.
Exactly.
Thomas Garrett said this is a new day. The culture is changing.
That's why I think it's more philosophical, the change. You're seeing a little bit of that in the offseason and even in the draft. And it's not in a bad way.
Scott Yak said Dan Quinn will get full potential out of him.
Yep. And remember, guys, who takes over if McCarthy fails? This is Dan Quinn's team. Remember, they listen to Dan Quinn more than McCarthy. We saw McCarthy arguing for his pick, which might have been a tight end, and Dan Quinn still won it out.
Yeah.
So
now give me like 2 minutes to read through as many comments and shout outs here as I can. Grayson Batchelor said Mazi Smith will be like Tyler Smith like last year, except on D-line.
Smith.
Exactly. Let me see. James Ruff said, I would have gotten a free agent defensive tackle and drafted O-line. El Cool said, Micah Parsons loved the pick, and that's all you need to know.
He asked for that pick, believe it or not.
He did. BB said, I think Myers should have been the pick. Let me see. Pioneers not happy said Smith might not even start.
He'll end up starting.
Yeah, starting is relative when it comes to the D-line, especially at that position.
Rotation.
But absolutely, he's starting.
Well, you're saying absolutely. I'm not. I'm saying that he'll earn that, but he'll eventually, I think, on rundowns, be the starter with Hankins. That's what I think it's going to be.
So picture a similar rollout to almost like Sam Williams. Remember? Started him off very slow. As the season progressed, he got a little bit more playtime and stuff, but I still think he's going to surpass that.
Sam Williams got only 27% the whole year. We got. I know, but I'm saying we got.
Which again, for an interior guy, around 30% is not too bad.
Yeah, 30%. I mean, again, but again, in first round, that's why you don't draft defensive tackle unless you're going to use them for more than one, more than a 2-down or run-stopping guy. The Cowboys plan to use Mazi as a pass rusher in the future.
And thank you, Mary. Much love with the $3 holler. You know what Mary had to say? Thank you so much, Mary. She said, most people aren't happy for this pick because it's not a well-known, a.k.a. popular player. But we need to draft on need, and remember that most people didn't like last year's first-round pick either.
Do you remember that's one player, Mazi Smith, that we talked about a lot here on My Cowboys Family, to a point where we were talking about him every day. So I didn't want to. That was Mary Alvarez, right?
There. Yes, and that was Mary Alvarez. Thank you so much, Mary. Much love.
Yes.
Appreciate you for that drop. And exactly, D-line, O-line, they are not sexy picks, right? They're not the types of picks that people are going to get super excited or go crazy over, but it is absolutely necessary, and it is a position that elevates pretty much everyone around him, right? It's not just D linemen that are going to be playing better because of this, right? It's going to be our linebackers, it's going to be our safeties, it's going to be our corners, it's going to be our entire freaking team.
Yeah, on defense. Yeah, and helping the defense is going to help you. But we still got to go after offense, in my opinion, whether it's offensive line, wide receiver, tight end, running back.
The Reaper, much love, said, y'all know Mazi Smith had the best athletic measurables. He was tied or broke records with the dude number 1 on the board. I saw the spot that he plays with athletic abilities. And something else that I saw that I thought was just fascinating, and then I'm going to do just shout-outs real quick, and then we're going to get to the things we have to touch on. Mm-hmm. But consider when we drafted Micah, we all kind of expected him to be a linebacker, right? In the sense of, no one could have predicted that he was going to end up playing edge, but Dan Quinn saw something in him and said, you know what? We're going to do this instead. And I have a feeling that, especially based on some of the comments that even Mazi himself made, right? That he said it, like, I have power and I'm athletic. I can do stuff. Put me in the middle, watch what I can do, but don't limit me either. So, and I'm paraphrasing here, right? Well, we'll hear exactly what he said word for word. But I have a feeling that Dan Quinn has some kind of trick up his sleeve outside of just what we already know.
Well, just so we keep it the way that when we drafted Micah, I remember saying, we need to keep Micah not being an LVE kind of, and I say LVE like in the middle of the defense and dropping back in coverage. We need to get him going forward. If Dan Quinn uses him that way, we will be successful with him going forward and with Micah. Now, I didn't think he was going to be an edge rusher, and we became kind of our pseudo edge rusher in this series, our full-time rusher this past year, it felt like. So when you see that, you're seeing what Dan Quinn does is get the best out of his players' skill sets. He gets the best out of Micah, the best out of Sam Williams, the best out of Deron Bland, and then he's going to take someone like Mazi Smith, who, like you said, and again, we heard us talk about him for months here at MCF. He's not a no-name guy. He's a guy we know very well here at MCF, and we talked about his agility. He is one of the top-rated, most agile players defensively in the trenches. This draft, for sure, I think he is the best in the interior. So again, you got a very athletic guy, all right, who's pretty big. He's 6'3", 320 something, and again, his speed and quickness and agility will be tweaked to make sure we see more of that in the Dan Quinn defense. He's not going to go back and pass and cover. He's not doing that. But what he's going to do is he's going to be utilized to create situations where he can utilize his skill set in an advantageous way against the opposing offensive lineman. And that's going to be the scheme kind of thing, going to kind of be baked into the scheme. Wherever he's at, he's going to be a major piece to push and disrupt, run, pass, whatever.
I feel like the only player you talked about more than Mazi Smith was Wright.
Well, that was more towards the end. Actually,
I know. Maybe that's just because that name is the name I remember the most. We talked about Wright. Probably the most consistent.
More recently, we talked about Wright. But in the beginning, it was Mazi Smith, and then we started kind of saying maybe second round for Mazi Smith. Maybe in the middle of that, we're looking at maybe the beginning of the second round, middle second round for Mazi. That may be where he was going to be taken. Now we know that's accurate. He was going to be taken at the end of the first round by the Chiefs. So again, the Cowboys. You got to wait to see if you can jump up and down for this one. Like say yes, I love it in my opinion. But There were other things you could have done. It could slight reach, but I understand this pick, so I'm happy with it. But the only thing I would say is this: let's look at Joey Porter Jr., how he does in his future of his career in the NFL. Let's look at Nolan Smith with the Eagles now and see how his career goes, because these two guys are sitting right there. And I think if you get Nolan Smith, you could have then said bye-bye to Dorrance Armstrong. You could have that would have been an upgrade there. I think, but then you have Sam Williams. So how do you incorporate everyone in there? That could be the issue. Joey Porter could have been the guy to come in there and take over next year with Diggs, or maybe replace Diggs. I don't know. The Cowboys said no. We don't like either guy. We're going to go with either the tight end, Dalton Kincaid, he was taken right in front of us, or Mazi Smith to address the biggest weakness in our defense. I can't be, again, he's the best run-stopping defensive player, the most well-polished and NFL ready. You need that to be a defensive tackle in the NFL in the first year. It usually takes 2 or 3 years. Mazi's ready now to be a run stopper, and I think Dan Quinn's going to make him a very able and skilled pass rusher as this year and the years in front of him goes on. But you got to compare him to these other picks around him. Was it a worthwhile pick? We'll see.
So now, real quick, I just wanted to start it off by, like I said, we're gonna rewind a little bit. Go back in time and just point out, remember what Stephen Jones said on Monday. The way to improve the run defense is to take those big bodies and beef up in there, and says that you can't do that enough. Also, rewinding a tiny bit too, because McCarthy said that one of the big things about this draft, you have to stick to trust your board when it comes to grabbing a guy. Says it's not about any particular philosophy. As far as, and he was talking specifically about tight end, but then he moved on to just talking general. Like, when it comes down to it, trust your board and trust the guys you have on your board. We
kind of discussed that the other day about sticking to your board no matter what. Even the more you sway from that, the worse it's the more trouble you get into.
So, and obviously that's some of the things that we did today. So real quick, Tyron Church, much love. He said, I feel like Parsons. So, and then we will be live tomorrow, guys, for the second and third rounds. Again, had a little bit of a situation here on our side that we couldn't go live the way we kind of planned to. So
check out the video. A little bit. Check out the video we posted, because the video is basically our reactions, or most important reactions. We filmed ourselves, and then I edited it to create a 10-minute video so you can see our reactions throughout the draft. And, of course, the main thing, which is the star, our pick, and what we were thinking before and after that. So check it out. I think a lot of the things I said in that and on an instant reaction was very accurate on Mazi Smith. All right. Mm-hmm. So, and you talk about Micah Parsons' reaction. We'll discuss that. But, man, he was happy about this pick. He was not. I'll say this. Micah Parsons was not happy when he's with Bleacher Report today doing a reaction live
draft reaction.
Kind of like what we usually do. And on the show, when the Eagles drafted defensive tackle defensive tackle from Georgia, Jalen Carter, who got in that car accident, got a big deal with him. He dropped a lot of spots. Yeah. But he's a steal right there. And Micah Parsons said, quote, "I'm sick to my stomach right now," about that pick with the Eagles. So, again, he just couldn't believe it that they got him. But it is what, how the day started coming down when it came to the NFC East. Micah, the Cowboys, and all the interlocking things that you're seeing. You'll see in that reaction video from us. Also, as the draft went on, I want to make sure everyone understands this. I guess, do you want to start talking?
Let's go ahead and kick it off. And since you are talking about Micah Parsons, he actually had a specific message directly to Mazi Smith. He said, "I hope you're ready to be part of the best D-line in the NFL. I'm going to help you get sacks. You're going to help me get sacks. Let's get this Super Bowl."
And Mazi, I think, only has 1 sack in his college career. But again, that's what I'm trying to tell you guys.
Everybody starts somewhere.
Well, but no, because I know, baby. But the thing is, like, for instance, most guys don't have like you have a 1 sack in your college career. I think that's what he has, 1 sack. That's not a real big 3-down type of guy. I think what shows Dan Quinn, Will McClay, and others, what showed in high regard for Mazi Smith is the fact that he is so athletic, that you can do things that don't require him just to be a big, no offense, but a big fat guy in the middle.
Most 200-plus pound guys aren't as athletic as Mazi.
Well, that's what I'm trying, exactly, and that's a big thing. Number one, that's true. Number two, if you got a big guy like him that's athletic, quick burst and speed burst that he has, maybe you can see some of these tendencies for the pass rush that you can either teach him, get him, and develop him. But again, when you have all the defensive players around him, any little tweak you're going to do to make him better is going to make him dominant, possibly. You know what I'm saying? In the sense of getting one-on-ones all the time in the pass game, you might see him become a 3-down guy sooner than later in Dan Quinn's defense. Now, I do think in the beginning he's going to be a first down or second down type of guy. On passing downs, I think you'll see Osa in there, DeMarcus Lawrence inside. But outside of those situations, I think you'll see him, playing the game, stopping the run, and maybe getting a little bit of a pass rush. I just think that as the time goes on, I'm hoping he'll develop better in the pass rush game, and then he'll be a 3-down guy, maybe midway through this season. I don't know. We'll see.
So real quick, Micah Parsons also maybe, Micah Nostradamus, right? He actually really liked Mazi. Text Dan Quinn, and he showed it, on the live stream and everything. Yeah. He's like, read the time.
After we got Mazi Smith,
at 3:30 in the afternoon, he texted Quinn, said, get Mazi. Yeah. And Dan Quinn said, I'm all about that life. Micah, after that, said, I told you Dan wouldn't let me down, man. So
I love it.
You
the connection is there with Dan Quinn and Micah Parsons.
Oh, man. And not just that, but
it's something else.
Micah's connection to, what this defense needs, right? I'm just saying, he's a smart guy.
When you have an inside guy in there, like Mazi Smith's going to be taking up 2 blocks and helping LVE, he's also helping out the pass rush and the ability for the other edge guys and other defensive tackles and defensive linemen to get in there and mess up the run game.
Yeah.
And be effective in the run game side, but also the pass rush side, even when he's in the game.
On a baseline level, one of the first things that he's going to do is make life a lot easier for Micah and Tank specifically. Right? Like, we're talking just baseline.
And LVE, in my opinion. LVE is going to be a major winner here with Hankins and, and someone like Mazi Smith. Now you are solidifying the inside. That's why they didn't go after Puna. That's why they didn't go after anybody else outside of Hankins, because they were feeling that they're going to pick up in the first, second round that defensive tackle to pair up with him for the run-stopping stuff to start off with in their careers.
Mazi's also the first defensive tackle that the Cowboys got in the first round Russell Maryland. You got it, baby. 1991.
Jimmy Johnson was there, and
longer than I've been alive.
You know what Russell Maryland was? I remember that draft. Russell Maryland.
I remember it too.
He was for his size, very athletic, very agile. He had all the other qualities as well. But man, he was really one of the top guys, and it was kind of like not one of these big fat like bulldozer type of guys. He was more athletic and agile. He's big, but still athletic and agile. Mazi Smith. I'm just saying. Very, very interesting connection there.
So he's also the first Michigan player that the Cowboys get in the first round since, say it with me now, Taco Charlton. Some people have already started making some, I think, extremely unfair and unnecessary comparisons between Taco and Mazi. Guys, apples and oranges, they might both be fruit, but that's about all you can say.
Listen, just because they're from Michigan don't make them crap, and it's just silly to compare that Taco came from there, so that means we made a bad choice. That's idiotic, but hey, to each their own, I guess.
Exactly.
I'm going to wait to see how he does before I start criticizing these picks. And, again, I might have said maybe do this, do that, but I do like the mindset. When you look at the philosophical mindset from the front office, at least you're seeing where they're coming from. Yeah. That's all.
So now, and if you guys were watching the actual, draft or seeing any footage of our war room live and in action, you might have noticed something, in the first few picks before we picked and then during, right? So first of all, Dan Quinn entered stage left about 4 or 5 picks before we actually went on the board, and that was when teams are calling. So they brought Dan Quinn in when teams started making calls. Obviously, the trade situation didn't really go anywhere, but outside of that, then the Cowboys are, on the clock. They're getting calls from KC. One of the interesting things is that while these discussions are going on, if you guys are watching, you saw Mike McCarthy specifically really emphatically arguing some kind of point, which now in hindsight sounds like he was arguing for Mazi, right?
For him?
Since that's the way that we went. Remember, there was a lot of back and forth. It sounds like yes, because ultimately the decision maker in the Cowboys not trading to KC was the fact that they wanted Mazi. So that was kind of the hinge.
They wanted Dalton Kincaid.
Well, okay, the Cowboys wanted.
Right.
Talking about once we were actually
once we started making the calls to try to get a deal, we weren't getting anything. I mean, Kansas City said they wanted.
Well, okay, because remember, guys, we went down to the wire. We had 30 seconds left on our pick. Why did it take so long if we kind of knew already what we wanted? We were on the phone with KC. We were talking back and forth. My point is, McCarthy convinced the Dallas Cowboys to say, "Hang up the phone. It is not worth it. Mazi is better here than there." And that's what I'm trying to say, because if you were watching, there was a lot of back and forth. McCarthy and McClay were basically talking for a minute and a half, and you just saw them saying something. And then finally, McClay picks up the phone, makes a call, everyone starts clapping and cheering, and that was that. So I just want to point out there that to me, that shows that it wasn't just, okay, Dan Quinn has a lot of influence here. Mike McCarthy has not just a lot of influence, but he's the one that it sounds like ultimately, convinced them in that final direction, right? Jerry, of course, is always the one who makes the final call. But just throwing that out there.
No, I'm looking at the chat here, just some comments. Oh, you're making some great points, and to me, it seemed like the Cowboys had their mindset on getting Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, no,
tight end.
Kincaid
right.
Over Mazi.
Over Mazi was the Cowboys front office mindset. So
if you listen carefully to their language as well, you can tell that Kincaid was over Mazi on their draft board as well.
You got to remember, guys, that I'm asking the family here out there: would you have rather had Dalton Kincaid or Mazi Smith? This is good. This is good. Forget about Joey Porter and Nolan Smith and your guys' dream picks.
Forget
that
two
shit.
choices for the Cowboys.
We know the realistic situation with the Cowboys, whether you like it or not. I'm asking the family out here, what do they think would have been a better choice? A tight end like Dalton Kincaid with the back issue that I was not a bit. He's like my third tight end. And again, I like Michael Mayer, but the Cowboys had it felt like in the first time it was Kincaid or bust. Meaning, if he's not it, then it's gonna be Mazi Smith. If someone jumps us, we'll let him jump us, and we'll take Mazi. Is I think the Cowboy mindset in there. So again, who would you rather have, Mazi Smith or Dalton? I'd rather have Mazi Smith out of those two guys.
I have to agree, but I also think that it is very tempting just because of the impact that he could have had offensively.
Who, Dalton Kincaid?
Yeah.
Well, I think you get an impact with the 4 other tight ends in this draft in the second round or third round. There's still guys like Laporta. Of course, Mayer's still there. He won't be there. I think he's still there, right? And so there's still a lot of options. The Cowboys have a lot of guys.
The only guy picked so far.
Yeah, so the Cowboys have a lot of guys they can choose from in multiple rounds of tight end. There's no need to go overdraft a tight end. Defensive tackle. Once you go past Mazi Smith and Keanu Benton, there's no one, and Ika, that's really the few guys you can draft. Maybe have some interest in getting him there in a starting concept with, when I say concept, it's like a rotation and in the Dan Quinn defense. No one's going to start all 3 downs right now in any real position other than Micah Parsons, when it comes to that defensive line. So now you're seeing Mazi Smith in the mix here. I'd rather have Mazi Smith playing, 40% of the snaps than Dalton Kincaid in the mix. We can get a tight end that's going to play the same amount of snaps he's going to play. We get him in the second or third round. I'd rather have a Darnell Washington than a Dalton Kincaid. I'd rather have a Michael Mayer than a Dalton Kincaid. I'd rather have a Laporta in the third than Dalton Kincaid. You guys understand my point here? So that's why you got to make me pick one or two.
That was a direct Dan Quinn quote. I'm all about that life.
He's all about that life. That's a quote from Dan Quinn on Micah Parsons' phone. And Micah Parsons, after that, said, hell yeah, I'm all about that life. He said, we're all about that life, because him and Quinn have a very fantastic connection. You can see it.
Just water, guys.
Yeah, you can see the connection. You can see the, the fact that, Dan Quinn trusts Micah. Micah trusts Dan Quinn. This is a vital thing here going forward. I mean, just think about it. In 5 years, Dan Quinn better be here because Micah won't. If Dan Quinn doesn't, Micah might follow eventually. So just keep that in mind.
So, real quick, let me go ahead hit up a handful more comments here before we hear directly from Mazi Smith because he actually obviously was interviewed and spoke a little bit today. So, real quick, Dub Red Side, what's up? He said the line is deep and we need that. James Ruff said, we have a good tight end room. Mike Aldana said, defensive tackles were going off the board by the time that we were drafting.
Yeah, and by the way, Mike Aldana also made a good point about Russell Maryland was the number 1 overall pick in that draft in 91. Just want to make sure I
Church
remember
said,
that.
I believe in Ferguson. Kevin Bilbo said, it doesn't matter if I just wanted a dog with the pick and that we got a dog. So
maybe could have got him at 30. But we had to pick 26. I'll live with
Sauce
that.
Kane said, Parsons needs help. He was tired by the end of the season.
But again, you look at the interior. It's not going to help Micah as much as you think, like directly with impacting him. But it's going to help him having more opportunities to maybe get back there along with everybody else because now you got to double team Mazi in the run game at the very least.
Most of the comments are saying that Mazi's a better pick. Like Thomas Gary said, we can get a tight end tomorrow night.
That's my point.
We can't get a Mazi
You cannot.
tomorrow.
Look, Keanu Benton and Ika probably be gone, and I don't think Ika is as good as
Chata Montana
Mazi.
said the better choice would have been Ika or Brian Brees.
And again, and that's what I'm trying to say is that if you believe that, that's why you're saying that you'd rather go with Dalton Kincaid because that's what the Cowboys would have taken, not Joey Porter from Ohio State.
Exactly. The Cowboys...
Not Nolan Smith from Georgia.
And that's why it matters,
Context.
We might personally have certain guys maybe ranked higher or lower, but at this point it really does come down to where do the Cowboys have them, and that's why we said it doesn't matter if we wanted Porter or whoever, the 2 picks, the 2 options that the Cowboys considered at that point were Kincaid and Mazi.
And I think you got to remember, Mazi Smith is We could disagree about Mazi in multiple ways, but I think he's the most complete defensive tackle right now. I'm not saying he's the best for the future. He's the most complete guy right now. I think Dan Quinn likes his. You can talk. Dan Quinn said it, not me. Dan Quinn loves his upside of being able to rush the passer and utilizing his athletic abilities in the Dan Quinn way, in the Dan Quinn defensive system, and that is the key here. It's specifically tailored to what they see in Mazi Smith.
Sure.
And Dan Quinn, he's already got something planned out. He didn't have something planned out for Ika. He don't, whatever Ika can do, don't think it's going to work in Dan Quinn's defense. Same thing with Keanu Benton. And those guys I know Keanu Benton's going to need a little bit, I love him. He's going to need a little bit more time to be as polished as he needs to be entering the NFL compared to Mazi Smith, who's closer to that, I think, entering the NFL now. Now, year 2, 3, or 4, maybe Keanu Benton or Ika are better. Maybe that's the case, or Brent. But right now, the Cowboys went with the guy they see the most with and they can work with right now to win now. And I think that's what Dan Quinn / McCarthy's culture pick, I guess. You know what I'm saying? And Will McClay, front office, they seem to agree.
Now, Mazi Smith, like I said, he spoke.
He spoke today, right after.
First time officially speaking as a Dallas Cowboy, right?
Repping that star.
And you know what he said?
What did he say?
My first job is to be an elite run defender.
Well, I think that's the number one reason we got him here for. You know, I'm wearing trench uniform here. This is Zach Martin, first round pick, offensive lineman. But I love the trenches, even if it's a little bit of a reach still. Whether you agree or disagree with me, little reach. My point is, Mazi Smith, trenches, run defense, that's the number one reason he's here.
Yeah. And what did our front office talk with Mazi about when they first picked up the phone? Well, he said, quote, they told me my job first and foremost is to be that elite run defender and that they need in the middle of their defense. He also mentioned that he wants to improve as a pass rusher, but that, quote, I can't lose sight of that first goal.
So he's, again, run stop first, pass rush second, but they want to develop him for that future. That's the future goal from Dan Quinn.
And, of course, he was straight up asked, what is it that makes you, in particular, so good against the run? And he said, first off, I'm like 325 pounds, and I've got power in my hands. I came out the womb looking like I was in there doing push-ups. So
strong.
Yeah, he said it. I've been strong my whole life.
Didn't he deadlift some kind of numbers?
Yeah, we saw him at like 800 pounds or some crazy weight like that. So he also said, what is it that you specifically bring to the Cowboy defense? He said dog, big dog, a guy who ain't gonna take it easy.
And that's, again, we need a guy with a motor. Again, we got to hope he can play. I know Chuck Montana's not happy about this pick, but again, you got to hope it fits the Dan Quinn scheme and thought process. And he's a guy who's going to play with a high motor, nonstop. When he's in that game, he might not play 3 downs starting off, but he will be in there in the mix on run defense no matter what, and high motor causing hopefully matchup issues. And that's going to, and again, he might not be here yet or even getting there, who knows, but the other guys around him are going to be getting there. That's the hope with the pick,
So one trend that did differ from last year's draft, Tyler Smith, remember, was not a one of the 30 visit guys. Mazi Smith was. Yep. He said that when he kicked it with the team in an interview at the Combine, that the club flew him out to Dallas, said, quote, I got to know everybody. Apparently they liked me, so it was all good. So,
hey, look,
obviously we liked him.
That worked, that clicked.
So he also said that he doesn't compare his game to anyone else's in particular, but he does spend a lot of time watching Daron Payne. And just watching his tape, in case you wanted to know.
In Washington. So maybe, hey, if he can get anywhere close to that, we'll take that.
Yeah, so like I said, that's pretty much everything that Mazi specifically said. And in case you wanted to know a little bit more about him on the personal level, I know they threw this up there after he was drafted. But first of all, both of his parents were civil rights activists, which is pretty cool.
Good.
Outside of that, he really likes science fiction. He really likes reading. He likes writing. He writes his own poetry. He wants to get into music as well. I'm not really sure what kind because they didn't really say or anything like that. But the point is he likes a lot of, different types of things there.
That's good. It sounds like he's a very wise a young man.
So, and let's go ahead and kind of get into a little bit more of the nitty gritty when it comes to our actual drafting situation. So like we said, and I know I might be rehashing a few things, but remember, it was the Chiefs and it was the Raiders that called the Cowboys initially.
The Raiders at 38, by the way.
Exactly. A handful of picks before we even went. But by the time that we actually were on the clock, it was the Chiefs that called and said, hey, we're trying to trade up. But like I said, it fell apart in the end when they said they were specifically trading up to get Mazi, and that was their target. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Yep. Obviously, there was still some back and forth discussions there. In the end, we ended up going our way. Stephen Jones said it. Quote, Mazi obviously brings an element to stopping our run that, other than Hankins, we don't have.
Agreed.
He makes us a better defense at the end of the day. Mike McCarthy added in there, we wanted to improve our run defense, and we love everything about Mazi.
Tell me right now that you guys don't agree with me that Bohanna is probably on his way out here. You're not going to keep 3 nose tackles.
No way.
And so I think Bohanna is the failed 6th-round pick of Dan Quinn from 2 years ago. And again, I like Bohanna to do well, but he was getting pushed back too much. He was too inconsistent at stopping the run. You just can't rely on someone like that to help your linebackers in your defense. And so we couldn't move into him as that guy. It was Hankins, the only guy we got in this defense. I mean, he just said the only guy that's a run-stopping nose tackle, defensive tackle, is one guy in this team. He didn't even include Bohanna. So that tells me Hankins. Everything I need to hear. Hankins, and now Mazi Smith. So we'll see what happens, how they use him.
Jerry Jones, for once, guys, this is what I'm saying, where we're seeing a change here, right? Jerry Jones actually declined to discuss the tight end position tonight. He said, quote, that's tactical with tomorrow ahead of us. Last year, I showed you the damn draft board.
He did.
Now, this is the best. I think one of the best parts of this whole back and forth interview, Mike McCarthy, about Jerry Jones. He said, he's coachable, I'll say that. As in, McCarthy's taking credit for teaching Jerry how to shut his freaking mouth when it comes to not letting stuff out that shouldn't be let out.
I mean, good owners and GMs don't do that dumb shit. Now, I do want to say something. Montana said that, Ika is a run-stopping machine, and I agree. The one thing I know about him, he's a run-stopping monster. But it seems to me that even though they're saying, the Joneses keep saying it, Stephen McCarthy, it's about the run, stop, run, stop, run, stop. We know it's Dan Quinn that wanted that all other level of be able to work with this guy as a pass rusher.
Will McClay actually was the one that specifically mentioned it, even though we know it's Quinn that wants it. McClay is the one that talked about Mazi's upside as far as rushing the passer under Quinn's scheme.
Yeah.
Said that he loves how he mentioned changing Smith's stance that could put him in an environment where, quote, he can show off his athletic traits and thus be a more effective pass rusher.
Boom. And that, I think, and again, I'm not arguing against who's the better run stopper if you want to run.
It's okay. Will McClay just took the words out of your mouth from the last 2 months.
100% on that. He is. Listen, the thing is that I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm explaining that the Dan Quinn difference was I'm not going to get Benton. I'm not going to get Brent. I'm not going to get Ika. I'm going to go with the guy who gives me the best, let's say, what he believes the best overall guy in the sense of a pass rusher ability. And I like Benton better maybe in the future as a pass rusher. I'm assuming they're thinking of now who's the better pass rusher overall as a defensive tackle. I think that's what they're not waiting for these guys to develop. They want to get, they want Mazi in there starting probably full time. They went
for the more immediately
middle of the year
guy, which, it definitely.
With the first round pick, you got to do that, right?
And when it comes to defense, though, that definitely goes against the grain when it comes to this position for the Cowboys. They tend to go for the slow burn, the Bohannas of the world.
Yeah, they wait for them in the 6th round, 7th rounds.
You get what you pay for in a lot of ways, and now they're making a much bigger first round investment.
You know that they talked about this, right? The Joneses and Mo McClay, and they know there was no more in their mind first round guys. I don't know if you have this, maybe I saw this somewhere. The Joneses the front office had 11 first round grades in this entire draft. 11 guys. So we were talking about. They said the other day they had 16 to 18 guys. They were lying. They had 11 guys. At least that's what they're telling us now.
Yeah. So adding in there too, again, Jerry Jones did reiterate that they did have a serious trade offer they considered when they were on the clock. That's why we used up our entire time making that pick. And like I said, that's what he said during the press conference. Obviously, a little after the press conference, it did come out and was confirmed that it was the Chiefs. So just in case you see that,
so
now you know it was the Chiefs. And as soon, Mazi was that deciding factor. So way to go, McCarthy, hopefully. We'll see how that pans out.
We'll see how it pans.
But one thing that Jerry also made clear is, you would not have ever seen Mazi Smith on here in 2013, right? He said it. The Cowboys 10 years ago, 9 years ago, would not have made this move. But considering that how McCarthy and Quinn designed the defense, it's paramount to have that type of talent. AKA, you can't do the things that McCarthy and Quinn want to do if you don't focus on stopping the run. Which realistically speaking, even more than some of the offensive situations we had, was a real nail in the coffin for us for like 2-3 years running now.
Isn't that something though? Like
make
stopping
nose tackle
the run.
great.
Yeah, I mean, we did that with safeties with Dan Quinn. Now we did it with nose tackle.
Yeah,
and Dan Quinn.
So, and you mentioned it specifically. The Cowboys said that they had 11 guys as like first round grades on their draft board. Where exactly did Mazi Smith fall on that? Stephen Jones specifically mentioned 14.
Really?
So out of that entire list of guys, Mazi Smith was 14.
And we
on
know
the list of guys that we
know at 13 it was probably Dalton Kincaid.
So keep that in mind as well when we're talking about, who the Cowboys would have actually picked. Guys, that list was
set
super short. Okay, so and again, tight end was obviously the big target there. Jerry Jones even admitted that a little bit, but it was funny because when Steven admitted that, Jerry Jones said, "Who gives?" And I'm sorry, YouTube, don't ping me for this. I'm quoting. He said, "Who gives a shit? We got him."
I got you. I know, and that's all. Listen,
we give.
Yeah.
Anyway, so sorry. I know. Jokes aside. That is pretty much it as far as like what I have. And obviously, this is just very, very early, preliminary, basic post draft commentary from Jerry, Steven, Will McClay, Mike McCarthy. Obviously, we heard from Mazi himself. Now, I want to hear from everybody here in the chat. So, baby, I know you have a few things to mention about Mazi.
They got to vote, though.
I was just about to say, I want to hit up the poll. I want to see how people are feeling.
You're going to hit the poll. I'm joking.
But we have 92.
Wow, 92 votes. You got it now. I see you got it a little later. Go ahead.
Give me a second. 92 votes.
Yes.
60% of you guys love Mazi Smith.
Wow.
As our first round pick.
Large percentage of the family.
26% said he's good, but still a reach.
That was me. I'll admit it.
And then after that, 9% hate it. 5% said,
So, I mean, there's 14% have some kind of like, or I hate it kind of mindset. And the rest are mostly loving it or like, but it's a good pick. It's good. It's a little reach, but it's good. So, again, we won't know this until we have to see how he is used. If you tell me Marinelli's running the defense, I'm saying we're probably wasting the pick.
Yes.
But if you tell me Dan Quinn's running the defense, I got some hopes.
I know.
I got real hopes. I'm saying.
So real quick, baby, before we get to the things that you have to touch on, real quick, everyone here, take
commercial
a
break.
second, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Yes, follow us on all social media at MyCowboysFamily. Hop in the Discord, link for that's in the description box down below.
Over 60 in the house right
now. There's only a handful of ways to show the love and drop the love in the meantime while we deal with some YouTube shenanigans that will hopefully be resolved in the next week or so. But the Cash App, money sign MyCowboysFamily. You have the Venmo at My-Cowboys-Family. Your regular PayPal link, and last but certainly not least, you saw Mark and Mary both flexing that Streamlabs drop. Their commentary showed right here on the screen, just like a regular super chat. Mark Hosepian, Stream Boss, got knocked down.
Mark's sponsor of the week. He's the Stream Boss, and we got Trent M as the Cash App King.
That's right.
Don't forget the leaders, though, baby. Both boards led by the same dominator here, Jason Renfro.
Woo.
Cash App leader, overall leader. That's the way you can help the channel, guys, as we hopefully get our memberships, super chats back in a week or so. We hope.
Now, while Mr. MCF touches on a few more Mazi things real quick, and remember, no players. I'm making it very clear. I'm going to ask a question. I don't want to hear specific players. I want to hear positions. Now that we have Mazi in the first round, what position specifically would you like to see the Cowboys target in the second round? Go ahead and start dropping your thoughts on that in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and answer a few comments in the chat. I know, like I said, you have a few kind of more specific Mazi things to touch on that, a little more on the technical side of the football things. So, quick, again, he'd shout out Uncle Charles in the house here.
Uncle Charles, y'all.
So, let me see.
Repping that star over everything.
Let me see. Frame Rippers, he brings up a point. He's like, the more we say, the more these guys like Smith, Travis, and LVE show up. So then maybe we need to our way into another top pick.
Listen, all I know is that there's still a lot of other picks available at these other positions that we need. And I would like to see a little more, let's say, offense, you can say. But and I preferred offensive line. When I look at a second round, baby, I mean, listen. To me, we know we got a Vila. Can he get there? Probably not, but he could get there. If Vila's not there, John Michael Schmitz, check him out. Again, I had Dalton Kincaid as our last mock draft. That's exactly what the Cowboys wanted. If he was there, that's exactly who we would have had. Second pick I have in that mock draft, check it out, is John Michael Schmitz, a center guard. He's probably the second best interior lineman in this draft. I'm keying in on him. Hope no one takes him.
I have to admit, I like Steven's trend about the big boys on the line. Let's double it up, right? Give me a double stuffed Oreo on the D line and the O line. I would love to go O line. Is my point.
That's what I'm saying. But I think that tight end, if you get someone like Michael Mayer and he shows up, I mean, you're grabbing him. The Cowboys will grab him.
If he somehow falls that far, don't even bother looking at anybody else.
Now the other question could be Laporta is there. The Cowboys had some interest from him.
I still think Mayer is ranked higher. By the way, I think Montana even mentioned this earlier. Another reason it took so long is because the Cowboys were seriously considering Mayer there at that pick as well. Like they probably had him at like 15th or something if Mazi was 14th, but they ultimately ended up saying we can wait on tight end. But it was still a serious consideration.
Another name that popped up was Luke Musgrave. Tom McShay did a final 2023 mock draft, and they went with Oregon State tight end Luke Musgrave to the Cowboys. Again, Daniel Jeremiah, we know of him and stuff. But again, it's just saying that everybody was gone. The Cowboys went with him because all the other tight ends were gone. He has a lot of athleticism if he's up there, Musgrave. There's routes he can run that nobody else has seen. But again, more drops in his career, 9, than touchdowns. He has 2. And he only missed 2 tackles. So he's Dalton Schultz worse. So to me, Luke Musgrave, no. Please, put me in the grave if you're going to get him. You have guys on this list, according to this mock draft, Keanu Benton, Jahmyr Gibbs, which of course wasn't available. Yeah. Darnell Wright, and this mock draft is picked 31st. I'm going to flush that mock draft from Jeremiah, who had Luke Musgrave. Tom McShay had Luke Musgrave. Dane Brolger had Dalton Kincaid. Mel Kiper Jr. had Dalton Kincaid, and Charles Davis had Michael Mayer. The point I'm trying to make is the Cowboys love tight end.
And heading into today, that was the overwhelming favorite. Yeah, right? Inside sources, outside sources, all the way around sources. Everyone was pretty much saying the Cowboys are heavily looking at tight ends.
And they're still obviously doing that, as you can see by Jerry Jones's comments today.
Exactly.
Tomorrow,
you don't want to give anything away.
I would say today was our 10th draft with Will McClay. All right? Since he took over this entire process in 2014. Out of the 8 picks that we've made, 8 picks that we've made, 6 have been all-pro players. 2 that haven't are Tyler Smith and, of course, Taco Charlton. But Tyler Smith only played
he's only had one
season,
year.
So we got to give them a little chance to breathe. But again, Dalton Kincaid over Michael Mayer was the thought process this morning. I'm just going to let everybody know. And we can see that was going to carry on down right to the Bills pick, jumped over us with the Jacksonville pick and got that. But there's also a word out there. We talked about Stephen Jones maybe using that pick in the first round or maybe another round for a veteran, right?
That's right.
Odds from Sports Betting AG, because you still see it happening. Now, there was no trade for a veteran, but DeAndre Hopkins, 100-1 odds right now. He will be the first player traded in this year's draft. Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Lamar Jackson, which, by the way, got a huge deal today. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Josh Jacobs, all those guys are on the rest of that list of possible guys to be veterans to be traded in this during this draft sometime. Just want to say, Hendon Hooker was not picked up, the quarterback from Tennessee. He's recovering, though, dropping back and all that stuff. Again, he's a guy that worried about starting.
That Kentucky quarterback didn't get picked up.
He didn't get picked either, yeah. Again, so these guys are still out there, quarterback. So there'll be a couple picks that you'll see, quarterback. That's going to help the players keep dropping down to us in the second round. And running back, Sean Tucker, he had 29 bench reps and a 38 vertical jump at his pro day this week at Syracuse, one of the best running backs in this draft. Some people say he looks a little Thurman Thomas look-like, but again, he got injured. He couldn't really participate in any of the other events. Running back, so you can see this. Maybe tomorrow the Cowboys might draft a running back in the third round on day 2. But Sean Tucker is more of a day 3 guy, so just keeping him out. Again, he's out there doing major stuff, and he's an under the radar kind of guy because of his injury. Just keep that in mind. Now, do you want me to talk the NFL, maybe, or just skip that for tomorrow? Because
I would say let's go ahead and save it for tomorrow, just because of the
I'll go through
timing.
Yeah, I'll go through more detail tomorrow. But the Commanders, they are right now not getting Chase Young's 5th-year option. Would have been $17.4 million. And I'm hearing that they're trying to maybe even find a trade. Montez Sweat's going to run his contract as well last year. The Washington dropping there. Lamar Jackson, again, guys, got an extension today, guys. A 5-year, $260 million deal. That's the highest paid quarterback player. He just jumped over Jalen Hurts. And by the way, Jalen Hurts, the $51 million a year average of this 5-year full extension, $52 million of new money per year.
Imagine the money that the Ravens could have saved themselves if they saved about 8 weeks worth of drama. And most importantly, signed him before Hurts.
Highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. Lamar Jackson, number 1, Jalen Hurts, number 2, 52 and 51 million. 50.3 with Aaron Rodgers, number 3, Russell Wilson, number 4, 49 million. Number 5, Kyler Murray, 46.1 million. Deshaun Watson, 46 million. Patrick Mahomes, steal, 45 million for him. Josh Allen, 43 million. Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford, and Daniel Jones all at 9th, tied for 9th, 40 million. And you still got Herbert. Still got Burrow.
I was just about to say, do you notice that the quarterbacks on the more successful side of that are also on the lower end of that spectrum? You know, Hurts is actually the only exception.
Yep. And
the next highest paid one is Mahomes. They just won the Super Bowl, but he's still like only the 5th, 6th highest paid guy.
Yep. Yeah.
And I'm just saying, after that, everybody, Josh Allen, Dak, all, even Stafford.
They didn't win.
They didn't win, but at
Stafford
least,
won old. It's different, yeah.
Stafford technically won not that long ago, right? And at least Josh Allen and Dak Prescott, respectively, both made it to the postseason and have had, repeatedly successful-ish.
Just showing you guys the landscape of the quarterback market. Exactly. That's all. Now, quarterback market, Aaron Rodgers, his 50, we'll talk about it tomorrow. They basically have to convert his money that hit the Jets have to juggle and deal with. It wasn't talked about enough. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Now, I'm going to say, I'll talk about the quarterbacks. I just want to real quickly touch on the Cowboys real quick as the draft is going on. A couple days ago, Trayvon Diggs, Dak Prescott doing a commercial with Trayvon Diggs' son. So that's cool to see there. I think it was an AT&T 5G kind of commercial. And then I saw the OTAs. Cowboys just, doing some basic working out. But nice. I saw the offensive lineman. And you guys can see it if it's out there. But I saw Biadasz at center. To his right is Zach Martin. And to his right, Tyrone Smith.
Okay.
Running as the right tackle. As was said, right? Number 77 out there playing right tackle over everybody. Again, we know Terrence Steele's. We know Terrence Steele's rehabbing. I get it. But I'm just saying the Cowboys are not even thinking about Tyron Smith at the left side and Tyler Smith at the left guard.
Let's be honest. If we ever need Tyron Smith at left tackle again, spin him around in a circle 3 times, put him at left tackle, right. Bam, he's good to go. It's not like right tackle.
He needs practice on the right side.
Exactly.
You're right. You're 100% right.
So, because those movements are the ones that come second nature to him. Exactly. He's physically having to relearn everything the other way around. Again, I can't just become a lefty overnight. It's going to take time.
We know it takes about a year, but for the more skilled guys, it's sooner. It's going to be a lot sooner with Tyron Smith, and he'll be ready to go at right tackle right now.
I'm also cracking up. Montana Away said that top 5 list was hilarious. That's what I said. I'm like, Hurts is technically the only exception on that list.
And again, I don't like to make fun of his name Hurts and hurting him because I don't want anybody injured. But I'm just saying, like, if you run him too much, he can get hurt. You know what I'm saying? You don't want your running back getting overused. We know what happened to Zeke as a running back. So you want to do that with Jalen Hurts every year, running him the way he has been after you sign him. Got to be careful. So again, they wanted a running back. They were not able to get one, the Eagles, yet. Of course, a lot of running backs in the draft. Still have that Derrick Henry talk in the background. So you just never know who they'll try to bring in to Philly to try to stave off any kind of injury or a lot of overrunning of Jalen Hurts. You don't want to pay that $51 million guy running every other play. So
right.
Now, Mazi Smith, the pick. Let's just focus on this real quick. Baby guy, I want you to interrupt me when you need to, if you see the chat, if you have a question. But the Cowboys have for years ignored the nose tackle position. Now we're investing in a first-round capital A-gap stopper. Interior run stopper. That's number 1. And yes, there's other Benton, Ika, other guys out there you can make a case for. You could have waited on a little bit. But in the first round, the Cowboys wanted instant impact right away. 26th pick, Mazi Smith. You guys are voting on that question there about how much you like him. But again, he's a little bit over 335 pounds. I know he said he was a little bit lighter than that now.
Yeah, he said he was 325.
325, 335. Either way, guys, he's one of the premier athletes in the trenches. That's major. Under Dan Quinn. Not under... If you got Marinelli, it's a fucking waste. If you got Dan Quinn, I trust Dan Quinn. I trust Dan Quinn on a reach. How's that? Didn't work out with some guys, works out with other guys. But he's a first-round graded guy, a second-round kind of guy. And I think that Dan Quinn, looking at the other options, this is the guy that he pinpointed that fits his scheme best. So, with all this being big, right, 6'3", 325, 335, wherever it may be, one of the most athletic trench guys in this draft. Again, stamina, motor, high motor. These are the very big positives of a Mazi Smith. So when you look at the freaks, and again, you have Bruce Feldman has a list, a college football freaks list. He ranked number 1 as the freak, the most freakiest.
He's a super freak.
He's the most freakiest defense or player actually all across the NCAA in college. He was the most freakish player according to Bruce Feldman's list of freak players. So again, you look at the what was that thing? The reactive plyo stairs test that we saw Michigan do a lot with Aiden Hutchinson, which on the Lions. Aiden Hutchinson, 60 pounds lighter than Mazi Smith, did this reactive plyo stairs test. He did it in a time of 2.57 seconds. Mazi Smith did it in 2.82 seconds. Yeah, a little behind him. Again, 60 pounds hevier with Mazi Smith.
He's carrying like 3 toddlers with him.
That's a freak who's agile. All right? So, again, a lot of times you see him on and off the field. I mean, the guy is strong. He's a big guy. His agility, even though he's impressive with his strength, the agility is what really makes him, is what stands out, I guess you could say, than the Keanu Bentons and the Ikas. So, again, it gives you a higher chance to maybe be a 3-down kind of guy. He ran the short shuttle, the second fast. I think he ran it at 4.41, which is extremely fast, guys. 3-cone drill. He did it in a 6.95 seconds. So he's an athletic freak. That would have been, by the way, guys, that leads defensive tackles at the combine. Now, remember, he had a strain. I think he had a hamstring injury.
Yeah.
For the pro day. I mean, not for the pro day, but for the scouting combine. So he was not there, but he did this at his pro day, and this is the numbers he got in the 3-cone drill and the short shuttle. Point here is the guy is incredibly athletic for being a nose tackle and for being having the other parts that you need to see in Dan Quinn's mind. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at all this, guys, and you look at the game tape, do you see this kind of coming off the tape? The athletic freakishness, so to speak, right? It doesn't really match when you look at the film. You don't really see the freakish way he should be out there based off his athletic abilities and these RAS, the RAS scores. So when you look at his graded years... So then
how do you... I was going to say, how do you see it?
Well, I'm saying here, it doesn't... The game tape, he shows certain things that are fantastic, but again, it's not the same... You see some of the power and some of the strength. And the thing is this, guys, his grades, PFF, analytically analytically speaking, with his grades, 75 plus both in I think back-to-back seasons by PFF. So even if it doesn't show out there, you still see his abilities are still showing up on the field, even if he's not like maximizing his potential. Let's just say. Now, when you look at him against better competition like Steve Avila. We know TCU, right? We talked a lot about Steve Avila being a guy the Cowboys might want to bring in here. Maybe he'll be the 58th pick and they could practice against each other, in the trenches this entire offseason and training camp. But Mazi Smith, guys, when he worked against him, he was aligned as a 2-tech most of the time. Basically, 0, 1, or 2-tech is where you're going to see Mazi Smith doing his thing. And he does a great job in initiating contact with good pad level. It's very important to maintain leverage. And again, he rolls his hips, maximizes that power and that leverage at the point of contact. And I know it sounds, but again,
I know. Sorry,
he controls the offensive line in that way, and you can from there he can stack and shed and quick. And he did this to Steve Avila, and was able to generate multiple run stops against him. Again, one of the top guards in specific guards here in this draft, interior offensive lineman. So whether or not it's a weak offensive line draft inside or not, we're talking about matching up this draft class. He did a damn good job against Steve Avila. Again, you got to remember, Mazi Smith is huge. Is pretty. Again, he's not as big as Ika, but he is a big guy. Still has unbelievable pad level for his size. By doing that, you gain leverage, consistent leverage to be able to take on double teams, and then shedding and blocks after that if you can. But again, he has a massive lower body, and again, it kind of holds him to the ground a little better. It kind of keeps his leverage even better. The fact that he's got a massive back end, so to speak. So again, former 4-star recruit. Remember that, guys. When you have that lower body strength, you get that power in the hands. You get from Mazi Smith. That hand power is something that you really can't teach that much. You kind of have, and that's why I'm saying he is impressive.
You either have it or you don't.
He's impressive in agility. He's also impressive in power, usage of power, where you see him again routinely knocks offensive linemen off kilter a little bit with his hits using his hand technique and his hand power. And so again, guys, he puts himself in great positions to stack and shed blocks. Something that we want to see in the run game, but consistently. So again, he has an 11.6% run stop rate. That's ranked 15th among all interior defensive linemen in college football last year. And if you look at how he plays in a rooted kind of constant lower body base, which is what he does, which he has, it enables him to maximize not just leverage but power, control with power. And when he at the point of attack, when he's hitting, he is giving you hand, he's giving you lower body, and all of that is able to control. What I'm trying to say, you're not going to see him get pushed off the LOS, the line of scrimmage. You're not going to see him getting pushed back too often on the line of scrimmage because of his pad level, his lower body, his power, his strength, and his hands. So these are the things, guys, where you're going to see, I think, Dan Quinn trying to find more of that, utilize more of that, and expand that into the pass rush game. Now you can get that run stuff and put it into the pass rush. The hands, he's got all the foundational things you need to be a good pass rusher. Let's put it that way. He hasn't shown that on tape yet, but he has the potential there. So again, guys, you got to remember, guys, something about him. You're right. Everything good?
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
No, I was gonna say that again. You got to remember, guys. He's gonna these things I'm talking about are major for any kind of single blocking, single teamed. He's gonna be able to control those guys. Even as a rookie, I think he's going to do a damn good job in the trenches. I'm hopeful for the Cowboys. But he's double teamed. These things I'm talking about, the lower base, the hands power, these things, it's going to make him be able to get out and shed these double teams or keep these guys locked up so they don't hurt going in the second level and starting to block our linebackers. That's key. So again, guys, a lot of people are going to say that he has. Okay, we can look at some of the issues with him. He has a little bit. He has a great. I would say he has a burst when he's bursting forward into the guy, but he doesn't have the initial ready, set, go. That initial burst from the line of scrimmage in the stance, and that's what you heard Dan Quinn changing his stance level. The way he's maybe 4-point stance. I don't know. He's going to change his stance so he gets off faster. That is one of the deficits that we all see. He has a delayed get off of the line of scrimmage. And that has hurt his draft stock. I'm pretty sure Dan Quinn's going to speak on this eventually, and he will say, that's something I can fix. That's something I can fix. That's something I can fix. And if Dan Quinn fixes that, you get a better get off. He would have been one of the top drafted guys in this draft in the interior. I'm talking about, it really is, but he would have been higher up on this list if he had better get off on that line of scrimmage when that ball snaps. So again, a lot of people are saying, you got to take into account. I think Choctaw Montana 808 can probably verify this when it comes to Michigan and the kind of defense they play, guys. Remember the kind of defense they play in Michigan this year in 2022. They play a read and react defense. That's the kind of role they have set up there for someone like Mazi Smith in the trenches. He's a head up defender. A majority of the snaps and in the scheme is going to be playing a read and react role on the Michigan defense. So you're reading and reacting. You're not necessarily going to get the same get off. I know you missed it, but one of the complaints is he gets a little delayed off of the snap.
Okay.
But I think Dan Quinn sees that as something he can fix. And again, I can
fix him.
Well, you remember not only that, but also the fact that the defense they played there, read and react defense. It's a little different, guys. Instead of firing out like you usually would do in our defense here, a majority of his snaps, he did not fire out when he played in Michigan. You
kind of had to wait and see.
Read and react. Yeah, you remember Marinelli, read and react. We had a little bit of that, and you got caught sometimes. You were trying to cover the run defense, and you're not attacking down the field. So that is a difference that maybe is not. I don't think that Dan Quinn's playing with that defense.
Again, scheme does matter, right?
Major matter. You got to have plans for your guys, and Dan Quinn has plans for, Mazi Smith, I believe, going forward here. So instead of firing out, which is what he's going to do with the Cowboys and Dan Quinn with Michigan, he had to kind of become a shaded defender. He was tasked with mirroring and controlling blocks. You guys understand this here? He had to go down the line of scrimmage, watch what's going to happen, read, and then react. That's not going to be the Dan Quinn. That's more Marinelli style when he was back there. Now you're going to see him kind of, again, guys, that is the way Michigan played to make sure they had all the gaps filled, playing light boxes. Not that many men in the box, so they had to make sure everyone kind of was a gatekeeper on the defensive line, right? And kind of go with that. So you put in Mazi Smith and the Cowboys defense under Dan Quinn's scheme, I believe it's going to be a little bit of a different situation there as far as these kind of detriments of Mazi Smith. His athleticism, which we already heard Dan Quinn speak about, will enable him to shine over, I believe, to be able to overcome the delayed reaction. The athleticism is something Dan Quinn's going to focus on to bring out of him the most. So again, you got to...
Real quick, I'm assuming the whole Jalen Carter poor character thing comes from the fact that he had that whole situation.
Yeah, the Eagles got a gift. The Eagles got a gift on that, right?
You're right. Outside of that, it's not like he has some kind of a reputation for being a douche nozzle or anything like that.
Oh, Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter, yeah.
But that's the main reason why people are saying there could be a character issue.
Right. That's on that situation with the Eagles. But again, I think they got two great players. I hate to say it. There's great defensive players on top of the defensive players they got.
We'll get into a lot more of that tomorrow.
Down the line,
able to chill and relax.
During the in between the drafting, right? We talk about our guys. We'll start talking about some of these other things. You guys bring up questions and topics and thoughts. And
as we start wrapping things up, though, guys, I think you only have one more thing, right?
The last thing here, guys.
So
we're about to wrap this up.
Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow us anywhere and everywhere at MyCowboysFamily. Hop in the Discord as well. Link is in the description box down below.
That's right.
Let me hand it back to you.
Yeah, just real quick, guys, just as we finish this up. The last couple of factors I saw here about Mazi Smith, and I kind of looked around for more details on some of the things he can and cannot do, and how he will look under Dan Quinn. That's my key. He looked a certain way in Michigan, and I understand the issues that a lot of us have with that. How is he going to look under Dan Quinn in the NFL? That's the question you got to ask yourself. We'll have to see. No one knows that answer yet. But he has yet to become an effective pass rusher, which is the other negative that I've been talking about with him. I don't know if he's going to be an effective pass rusher maybe till next year, let's say. But under Dan Quinn, I won't count anything out. The key is this, guys. He brings rare athleticism, which indicates, and that's what I was trying to say, I think Dan Quinn saw this as an indicator that the slow get-off, the scheme of Michigan he's playing in, but the athleticism brings that. When you have that athleticism, guys, it's called untapped potential. You want to say high ceiling? I'm assuming that's what Dan Quinn's thinking. High ceiling for Mazi Smith as a pass rusher. Now, a run stopper, he's there. He's going to be able to work in this scheme, and I'm pretty sure Dan Quinn has a different thing. But for a pass rusher to get to that next level, that's, I think, is the untapped potential. The opportunity is there for him to be a guy that can really be more than what he currently shows. All right. So again, that's still an if. But I trust in Dan Quinn getting this out of him. So, again, guys, he's pass rush potential has not been unlocked yet. Let's put it that way. I believe Dan Quinn is probably the best guy to unlock that if he has that potential. We'll see it come out, I think, throughout the year. Now, he's not going to contribute as much, all right, as a pass rusher early on. I think he's going to, on third down and 12s, he ain't going to be in the game. But he's going to he will make a positive impact, I believe, against passing plays and other ways. He's going to improve the Cowboy defense, I guess you could say, play action defense. And by doing that, guys, again, linebackers won't have to immediately jump into the gap to fill that gap or that hole because we got Hankins and we got Mazi Smith, so they can take an extra second to watch and see if it's a run or if it's a play action. And, the linebacker one step forward can mean the difference.
Exactly.
And having to go back in coverage. When you got those two guys, you have to rely on them doing more. You don't need that linebacker filling that gap immediately because you can't waste a second, and then you got yourself caught filling the gap that they're throwing over your head. You can't do that. So that's where the big guys in the middle will help, and that's how Mazi Smith helps the play action defense. For example, guys, to aid the linebackers in that way, to not have to have them attack so fast immediately, right? And I'm talking about Damone Clark and LVE. And it allows those linebackers to maintain the depth to defend play action pass routes and plays, right? So again, overall, Mazi Smith's presence is going to help overall solidify the Cowboy defense, specifically the interior run defense. They're going to start off improving the defense, and they got more coming from him. That's the hope. It's not just getting like a Ika that's going to improve run defense, and then that's kind of it. It's going to be someone like Mike, I can't say his name now, but Mazi Smith. Yeah, I went completely brain dead. But Mazi Smith.
Micah, I'm like,
I know. I went Micah and I went off the rails. I went off the rails and I forgot to say Mazi Smith's name. But Mazi Smith, when you have him in there, I do think that, he's going to be playing, not allowing those running plays to get through. And I think that's going to just continue to help his impact on this defense, helping the entire defense. Every player is going to get better because of Mazi Smith's role and usage, and that means stopping the run. And when you start doing that this year, you're going to see, the run stop got better, Now our pass rush is even better. And our pass rush is better. Now the coverage in the back end is even better. You guys get the picture? Now we got a complete elite defense if this works for Dan Quinn, and that in turn will automatically help the offense. Automatically. So this in a way also helps the offense if it all comes together with Dan Quinn and the defense. So what I'm trying to say is this, guys, again, if he's not on some plays, if you don't have, let's say they want to have a little Osa in there at the 3 tech and take out Mazi Smith, he's still playing behind a guy like Jonathan Hankins who's here for one more year. He's going to teach him the ropes. And it's kind of like Jason Peters with Tyler Smith last year, teaching him the ropes with Tyron Smith in there. Now we got a similar thing with our first round pick with Jonathan Hankins, 1 year with the Cowboys to teach him the ropes. Next year, Mazi Smith will be the full-time starter at that 1 tech, hopefully doing more than even Hankins can do for us now. So that's the focus on a first round pick to stop the run now, and also have that opportunity to have a high level, high potential, high ceiling for the pass rush in the near future. That's the reason for this pick. Will McClay presents the people. Dan Quinn loved him. This is their number 1 defensive player they had on their entire board. Whether we agree or disagree or like it or don't like it, that's what they're saying. The Cowboys got, and I'm going to put this in air quotes, the Cowboys got their guy on defense. And Dan Quinn's guy on defense. And Will McClay's guy on defense.
All our guy. Because guess what?
And now he's a Cowboy.
A Dallas Cowboy.
Hell to the freaking yeah, guys. Again, major step forward when it comes to really getting our defense as a whole. I think the best career numbers for a lot of our players could be coming this year through the likes of a guy like Mazi Smith. It could have been another guy, but I think in this Dan Quinn defense, we got to pick the best guy to fix Dan Quinn defense, and I'm happy that we can trust in Dan Quinn on this pick.
Look, I'm also happy that we addressed, one of the bigger problems still remaining on this team, right? Like I'm just saying, outside of addressing the run stop, what are our biggest positions of need, right? We have O-line, tight end. You can make an argument maybe for like 1 or 2 other positions, but to me it's less, oh, there's a hole here, and more, oh, we could use more depth. We'd like a little more talent, a little more something there. So not necessarily, the same situation as the run stop or as the O-line or as a tight end situation, where, we either don't have anyone or our depth is so sorely lacking. We're talking about moving Terrence Steele around as a freaking, look. Oh, I don't want to get into that part of things, but
the Cowboys
I do want to
tomorrow.
Touch on 1 or 2 more comments here in the chat as we start wrapping things up tonight, guys. But again, huge shout out to everybody here hanging with us, and of course, make sure to vote in the poll. I'm going to go ahead and read that after I read 1 or 2 more comments here.
Remember, tomorrow we're going to have I do want to say we're going to have our live stream tomorrow a different way. Tomorrow,
a more traditionally expected live stream.
Yeah, but it's going to be more. I guess it's going to be in 2 parts, more or less. I mean, I guess if we have something to talk about, it might go one full stream, but we might have 2 little parts, right? And then. Like the first. Again, no, actually, it'll be one stream tomorrow, right? One stream.
I think so.
Before we pick a couple, maybe 5 or 6 picks before we make our pick, or even 10 picks. Just a little later before the draft starts. We'll probably halfway through the second round. We'll jump on and start doing the stream, and then get all the way to the end of the third round, which we'll do it to the end here, guys. Tomorrow night here on MyCowboysFamily. So that'll be our regular live stream. It'll be during the draft tomorrow as we sit in here talking about it. Of course. That'll be tomorrow's stream. On Saturday, we're going to do probably maybe a 2-part special on Saturday for basically like 4th, 5th round, and then we're going to do the 6th, 7th round on a separate stream, and of course have another discussion. I'm sure that night, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see about that night, and then the finale of the week on Sunday, we talk about all the undrafteds we picked up after Mazi and the rest of the draft. The undrafteds, and we're going to talk about this whole thing and kind of grade it and give all our opinions on that. It's going to be a big one on Sunday, guys, right here on MyCowboysFamily. And hopefully maybe we'll get some good news from YouTube in the near future. We'll see what happens, right? So, again, much love to the sponsor of the week, by the way, Mark Hovsepian. Mahalo. He's also 74 points on the stream balls. Put a little bit back on there. You see him on that board above us.
That's right.
Skeptical Fan also dropped a little love. Mary Alvarez also. Appreciate you guys. And, of course, Trent M. is the Cash App King. The leader, though, right now across the boards, Jason Renfro.
That's right.
Much love.
So okay, sorry. Let me see.
I'll throw this up while you get a couple things again before we step up on the channel.
Jason Renfro said it. Not a sexy pick, but a big, fat, beefy guy.
Yep, and it helps the entire defense.
Bruce got the Toxic Juice. Said Cowboys drafted so well. I still don't give a crap about what the Texans did for sure. So
I don't even. Yeah, Texans. Who cares?
Yeah, Chuck to Montana. Way much love. Let me see. Mr. Stewart. He said Darnell Washington is Darnell Washington. So
again, he's still out there.
I do have to disagree with your earlier comment, though. I'm definitely a bigger fan of the Mazi pick, though. Just throwing that out there.
As far who to me?
To,
No, I missed. I'm sorry, baby.
Are you a bigger fan of Darnell Washington than Mazi?
Oh, is that what he was implying? I thought we were talking about tomorrow. That's why I wasn't sure. Darnell Washington is there tomorrow, possibly.
Let me see. A Frame Ripper said, even the number 1 pick overall had red flags. He's about my Cowboys' wife's size. No prospect is perfect.
Exactly. Listen, you got to balance it. I look at Mazi Smith as a player. In the scheme he was there in Michigan, compared in the read and react, compare that to what you're going to see. The get off is not so fast because of that, but Dan Quinn will help the rest of that in the get off. And you're going to see, I think also the fact that he's going to be utilized, as a developing pass rusher. Not expected to go on. I don't want to expect anyone to say, "Oh, he's going to be the best pass rusher." No, he's going to provide some pass rush abilities and help in some screen stuff and some
Bruce
play
got
action.
The Toxic Juice said, "There's no way this was a bad pick."
I agree.
Johnson Cowboys said, "Mazi Smith can develop as he'll be a rotational player surrounded by good defensive players."
Yes, we always said first pick you want to start him. You want to see a starter. That's why I see on first and second downs a lot of rundowns, Hankins and Mazi Smith, or sometimes Hankins out and maybe just Mazi Smith with Osa on some rundowns. We'll see what happens.
Much love. Mary Alvarez, David Lara in the house. James Hurst said, last time the Cowboys took a Michigan guy, he was straight trash. Yes,
but that doesn't mean they're all trash.
Said, apples and oranges. The only thing you can compare them is that they're both fruit. So that's the only comparison you can make between Mazi and Taco. They came from the same school.
Can we compare him to Aiden Hutchinson?
That's about it.
Aiden Hutchinson came from Michigan. He looked pretty damn good last year. Just saying, you can't just judge it because of a bad pick.
Justin Quarles, the Q-Man, said, love the pick. Run stop was Cowboys' biggest weakness last year.
Agreed. And you can't get mad at this pick. I know Voodoo, Mark, Hovsepian, Justin Quarles, myself, we all talked about we need to stop the run. That's the biggest hole, really, on this defense, if anything. How can you get mad about getting... Again, you can get mad about which guy you get used to stop the run. I can understand that. We can't answer that question until the future. No matter how many times I say it or you say it, it ain't changing. But this is the guy the Cowboys liked. Will McClay liked, front office liked, Dan Quinn liked, and he's gonna get the most out of Mazi, out of a pretty good Mazi Smith, right? Even if you think he's all right, he's gonna get more out of him under Dan Quinn. And this defense, the players around us, and the scheme of Dan Quinn, couldn't ask for a better situation, merging these two sides together, and that's why I like the pick.
So exactly, and I think this is a perfect way to end things.
Say sayonara for tonight.
Bruce got the Toxic Juice said, right? Mazi was such a third-round pick. The Chiefs are trying to move up and then get him.
Yeah, that's a Super Bowl team, by the way. I'm just saying. It's a Super Bowl team that has a lot of clout behind them. I think we can say that.
And remember, it sounds like they weren't the only ones who maybe
Raiders
wanted.
We don't know what the Raiders wanted, but they wanted that 38. They wanted to go from 38 to 26.
I'm going to assume... Just throwing this out there. I know obviously from 38 to 31 or even to 26 is a big jump. But you have to imagine that it's either someone who was supposed to already be gone but still somehow was there. So to me, it feels like it was going to be a Kincaid or even necessarily Mazi, but just...
Mazi wasn't the first pick. Mazi was the 14th guy, and right above him was Dalton Kincaid. Those are the two guys the Cowboys looking at. The Bills jumped us to get Kincaid. It might be a blessing in disguise. Because I wasn't been happy. I'm much happier with Mazi than Kincaid. That's the way I decide this vote. We can wait about Joey Porter and Nolan Smith for the future. But for now, for this year, it's just one or the other. And I do not want Dalton Kincaid a tight end for
now.
Our
real
offense.
Quick, baby, go ahead and close out the poll.
All right.
But I'm going to go ahead and read the results right now, guys. And with 112 votes,
total votes in the house,
64% of you guys said that you love the Mazi pick. Love it. Way to go, 64%.
That's a lot.
21% said he's good, but it's still a reach.
So 85%.
8% of you guys said hate it, it's a big mistake. And 6% said, there are better players if you're traded down.
85.5% or so liked this pick in some shape, form. Either loved it, 65%, or 15% were like, I like it, it's all right. And then you had the other group, right? I'm sorry, it was wrong. Who was second on this list? The most, it was like, It was
he's good, but still a reach.
Okay, so that was like mine there. And that was how much?
21%.
21%. Wow. All right. I was surprised it grew a little bit. So 65 plus 21, 86% right there. And then the remaining 14%, what was it? The 6% was, I hate it?
No, 8% was I hate it. 6% said, we could have done better.
Yeah, okay. So you guys understand. So right here, you got about 14% of the family not in love with this pick or hating this pick, while you got 86% loving this.
Or at least not bad.
Or at least saying, hey, not bad. Like I said, I like it, and I love it more when you add in Dan Quinn in the context. We add in what the Cowboys literally said they're going to do with Mazi Smith in our defense.
Yeah, you see, Montana had always said he's part of that 6%. He feels like it's fine.
Could have been
better. It is
better.
what it is, but we could have done way better had we traded down.
And I understand.
And done something else.
The only one I really can't understand is I hate the pick, but I understand all three of these choices and the three other ones. Because Mazi Smith, no matter how you look at it, we needed a guy in the middle, a guy who's going to fit Dan Quinn defense, fit the rest of these guys in this scheme, and the player talent that we have and the skill set. This is a good pick for the defense and Dan Quinn.
Burton Bar, much love. Gerald Chavez, take it easy. So seriously, all of you guys here hanging with us, even you, Lisa, thank you for hanging with us. Final shout outs here for our sponsor of the week, Marco Sepien. He's also the stream boss bossing that stream around, although the Cash App King is none other than Trent.
You know it, guys. Trent
representing
M.
all the way from down under.
You know it. Much love to Trent M in the house and in the lead right now in the Cash App and the overall board. Jason Renfro running the show right now. So much love to him. Good luck as we get closer and closer to the end of the week. Friday night, round 2 and 3, day 2. We're doing that one here full-time live tonight. Well, now tonight, I guess, here in the East Coast and Central. You're in the next day already. So, why
do we do what we do here?
We love to watch, celebrate our Dallas Cowboys, that navy blue, that silver too, and that star over everything. Welcoming in Mazi Smith on this defense. Dan Quinn, the Micah Parsons, and the rest of the D. Woo! They're ready. They're ready. And no matter what, if you like this pick, you think it was a win, you think it was a loss, or a draw, here we always rep the star over everything. Never forget, on My Cowboys Family, the number one thing here. Number one thing now. Number one thing forever. As always, say it with us, say it loud, say it proud. Go Cowboys! Let's get that 6 and beyond, meaning 7 and 8 and 9. Anyways, guys, thank you once again for rocking with us, dropping your knowledge about today's first round pick number 26, defensive tackle, Mazi Smith.
Yes, if you're watching this, obviously, after our live stream, make sure to drop in the comment section down below your thoughts, good, bad, ugly, doesn't matter, all of it, everything and anything about this pick.
Remember, we also have a standalone video we did. It was just the video clips together, about 11-minute video, 10-minute video.
If you want to see our
live reaction,
in-the-moment reaction to the picks being made, and, of course, number one, our Dallas Cowboy pick, make sure to watch that video.
Yes, but now all good things must come to a close, guys, so we get ready to clock out and drop out of here. You guys drop the knowledge. You guys drop the love. Appreciate both of that. But now it is time to drop out of here for the night and clock out, baby, before we can drop out for round 2 and round 3 on day 2 tomorrow. What do we got to do here, baby, on My Cowboys Family before we drop out for the night?
We got to drop the beat.
First round in the book, guys. Recap done. Let us know how you feel about it, good, bad, or ugly. We're here to hear it. Talk about it some more tomorrow in our, I'm sure, 2, 3, 4 hours of live streaming. Thank you guys once again. Like, subscribe, notification bell, and never forget, here on My Cowboy Family, the number one thing here now and forever. Never forget it, and say it with me. Go Cowboys! Woo!